Okay, so welcome to the second lot of mini videos. So the first lot I did on the repairs of the bodywork were quite hard to film, I have to be honest. I didn't know at the start how much was involved. So I'm hoping that this second series, which is basically the offside of the car, should be a lot easier to film and make a lot more sense. So the first area I'm going to start with is this panel here. Now I've got a repair panel for it, and I know from the last video it fits generally okay, just a little bit of work at the bottom. So the first thing I'm going to do is to strip off all of this bit down where the apex was joined. Also going to cut a bit of the scuttle off to make area up there around this vent, and I also need to take all these spot welds which go all the way down here, joining this panel to the A-post. So that's going to be my first task. Now like I said, it is hard to record, but I do actually have a time-lapse camera running on this as well. So I don't know how successful that's going to be, but I'm going to give it a go. So the first bit is get the grinder out. Okay, so the stripping down is going really well. Most of the horrible repair panels have been taken off. But there's a couple of things I want to point out. The first is up here. There's a little panel there, and that's been plated on. That must have been really hard to get to, but that little panel over top of the original rust has caused a lot of damage on the inside, on the top part of that vent, and also down at the bottom, down there. This section here, there was actually a repair panel on here. That was again put on top of the rust, and that was done before the whole A-post was plated again over top of the rust. Now this one here was so bad that it's actually plated again on the inside of the car. So that was a nice sandwich of rust. So I'm now going to clear all the remains of that up. Key thing is this panel isn't looking too bad. Okay, so as you can see, I've removed enough metal to get the repair panel clamped into place. I've actually used the holes where the hinges mount to make sure everything's correctly aligned, and then I've used these two clamps to hold it nice and tight. So I can now draw a line down there and get that rest of the metal from behind it cut out. I won't go all the way to the edge. I'll make sure I've got a little bit just so I can trim it to fit. So I've just put the camera inside the Mini so you can see the area that I'm trying to repair here. It's a very common area to fail on these Minis, particularly up by that vent there. I'll just zoom in there so you can see what I mean. So that's what I could see when I first took the vent out from inside before I'd even started stripping things out. So I knew it was quite bad. And then if you go to the bottom, you see these horrible repairs down there as well. So my next task is to just clear out those repairs there so this panel will fit where it should fit. Also in the middle, where that lap is there, there's a bit of a gap there at the moment, so the panel needs just a little bend to make it fit close on there so I can get some nice welds down there. Otherwise it's looking okay. I am still going to have to do quite a big repair panel on top of the new panel, just to cover the other areas that have rusted, particularly down there. Okay, so it's the next day, and I'm just having a look at basically the damage, and this side is considerably worse than the other side. Now I'm not worried about this panel here. I'm going to replace that. I'll make my own panel up, and that will join on to the new panel that goes to about here. So I'm not worried about that, but what I am worried about is what's in there. So that is where the door stop is. Don't know if the camera's focusing. Yeah, I think that's focusing there. And it's considerably rusty in there and down inside. But the biggest problem I have is that rust has rusted through from inside to the other side. I'll just show you. That hole in the middle is where the door stop goes, and you can see there's quite a lot of rust there. And it goes all the way down there. So where that door stop is, it's quite substantially rusted behind there. You can actually see where the spot welds are. There's two on the top and two on the bottom. It's also rusted quite badly on the side here. I can actually feel the rust has thinned that metal quite considerably. So that's one nasty area I'm going to have to deal with. The other area at the bottom of that A-post, along the doorstep, you can see I've got quite a lot of holes there. I haven't really started digging, and as I've started to remove the paint on the actual step here, I can see there's filler covering rust. So I'm going to have a good dig out here, and potentially I'm looking at buying a whole new panel to cover that whole area from there all the way down and all the way along that step. And I need to do that now before I go any further. Okay, so I've managed to get rid of all the damage from this area, and as you can see, the door stay bit in the middle has remained attached to the A panel, which is quite strong. So I've made a little repair panel, and that's going to go in there. I'll weld that in nicely, but before I do, I want to get rid of any rust that I can get rid of and neutralise any that I can't get rid of, and then zinc spray everything. So that's going to be my task for now, and because things take time to dry, that's going to take a little while. Right, as you can see, everything is prepped, and the primer that you can see on there is a weldable etch zinc primer. So I'm now ready to get welding. Right, that bit's now welded in, and I've cleaned up the welds, and I'm quite happy how that has gone. So that's now strengthened up the A-post again, and that'll allow me to do the next repair, which is all this bit down there. So from about there all the way down to where that bit is there. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that bit there. So I'm going to do that, and once that bit's done, I'm then going to have to move on to this horrible corner down here, because I won't be able to get to it when that panel's welded in on the front. Particularly this area down there, which I don't know if it's in focus. Yes, there it is. So that and that probably need to be done now. So to get this panel off behind here, what I've done is I've very carefully removed all the paint from this side, and then that exposed the spot welds. Then I've drilled through the spot welds, which will hopefully release this panel. And then there is a cut with a slitting disc that way, and also at the bottom here. So hopefully I should be able to start peeling that off. Now the spot welds around here I can't see because it's too rusty, so I'm probably going to have to grind down there on the inside to release that bit. So I'm in two minds whether to do this section of video, but I figure there are people out there who haven't got a clue how to do this type of thing. So what I've done is I've cut the panel that was behind here out, and to make a repair panel I'm starting with a piece of cardboard. This is a cereal box, and all I've done on the other side, see what my favourite cereal is, or in fact the kids are, I've put it in position with these magnets, and that's holding it nicely in place. And you can see where the fold of the box originally was up there. That aligns with the fold, or where the fold in the metal will be. So I've marked that all out. I can then take that piece of cardboard out, cut it up, check it fits, and then cut it out of metal. So there's my pattern all cut out, and last minute check, and it fits very nicely. So I can now transfer that to metal, cut it out, bend the edge over, and then hopefully that will fit in. Right, so that's my bit of metal cut out. The last thing I need to do is put a bend along where that line is, and to do that I've got no fancy equipment other than what you can see, which is basically two bits of heavy duty angle iron, and all I do is I sandwich the bit of metal in between the angle iron, clamp it with the nuts and bolts at the end, and then hit it over with a hide hammer. So there you go, that's the repair panel clamped into place. So the next thing to do for this will be to clean up all the edges where it meets, and then spray the etch zinc weldable primer on. So that is another repair panel done. Okay, so this is another area that needs repairing before I get that main panel back in. So I've made up a repair panel, and I now need to cut out the old metal and get that welded in, and then I'll do a little bit of plating down here just to finish that area off nicely. So this is the stage where I normally forget to get the camera out, But as you can see, I have now repaired that area there. I also repaired this area here because that was basically tissue paper thickness. And now everything is ready to go back in. All these flanges or edges here have been treated with weldable zinc etch primer, and where I'm not going to be able to get to, as in down this area, I've done that with zinc primer, very high concentration zinc primer. Now you can't mix the two up because you will not weld on zinc primer. So that's looking good. I also need to show you the repair panel. You can see lots of holes in there. That's where I'm going to pool weld. The leading edge down here is where it goes onto the A post. That is where it joins onto the panel. That is the back down here. That new panel I've just put in. Don't know if that's in focus. Try that. And that goes down that panel there. And then I've even got these ones up here, which again go in this area up here. So that's all ready to do, or that's all ready to get welded back in. So before I do that, I'm just going to clean up the rest of the paint off that. There is actually one last area I'm going to have to repair, but I'm going to repair that after I've got the panel in, and that's this area around here. It's incredibly rusty, as you can see, but it's also rusty on the other side, so that is very thin. But I want to get this panel in place first, and then I can put a bit more strength into this area and then repair that. Right, so I've had a good hour or so getting that all welded in. As you can see, it's nicely down there, and having a look around this side, managed to get quite a good weld all the way down there. You can see where I've pool welded. There was a couple that didn't go very well. I'm guessing I got some zinc spray where I shouldn't have, and that needed a little bit of let's say manipulating, i.e. twatting with a hammer to get in place, but that has gone quite nicely. So I'm really happy with how that's gone. And the next job for me is to clean up the workshop and say thank you for watching, and please subscribe.